So today we are going to talk about cerebellum and the connections in the cerebellar cortex. So I have a story in my mind which I use to remember the connections in the cerebellar cortex. Well, we have three layers of the cerebellar cortex. The first one is the granular layer. The second one is the Purkinje layer. And the third one is the molecular layer. Okay, now, how do I remember? Because we have a lot of things to remember, and it's really difficult to remember that where does a layer lie, or where the Purkinje lie, where there's a granular lie. So we have a story. Okay, granular starts with G, so this is the ground. Okay. Purkinje starts with P, so there are plants. And the molecular starts with M, so we have mountains. And now we all know the sequences of the ground and plants and mountain. Of course, we know that there is a ground, then we have plants above the ground, and then we have mountain above the plants, of course. So the granular layer is the innermost layer. It contains granule cells, that's why this is known as granular layer, Golgi type 2 cells, and glomeruli. Actually, the glomeruli has a granule cells. So in the glomeruli, axons of Mossy fiber form synaptic connections on dendrites of granular and Golgi type 2 cells. So these glomeruli has these Mossy fibers. What are Mossy fibers? They form synaptic connections with the granular and Golgi type 2 dendrites. So there are the Golgi type 2, there are two, so there are Golgi type 2 cells. That's how we remember that it's Golgi type 2. So the Mossy fibers, which are the Mossy fibers? They will be forming, the Mossy fibers are synaptic or making the synaptic connections on dendrites of the granular Golgi type 2 cells. And we'll learn how these Mossy fibers are coming. Now, Purkinje cell layer. This is the middle layer, contains Purkinje cells. That's why this is known as the Purkinje cell layer, and its output is always inhibitory. Now the molecular layer. It is the outermost layer. It contains stellate, like stars, and basket cells. These are the baskets. You can remember that people go up at the mountain and they bring baskets for picnic, and of course stars are near to the mountain, and they have dendrites of Purkinje. What are the dendrites of Purkinje? When you make a swing, some people love swinging, and they swing so high like it almost touches the mountain. So this is the dendrites of Purkinje, or the swinging that is attached to the plant. Swing that is attached to the plant. So these are the dendrites of the Purkinje. They are also in the molecular layer, and the dendrites of the Golgi type 2. These are also the dendrites. You can say like these are the dendrites that are also present on the mountain. Now we have two types of connection: climbing fibers and the Mossy fibers. Climbing fibers are so easy. You know that we climb on the tree, or you can say on the plant too, but of course plants are too small to be climbed, but you can remember that climb the plant. And in this way you can remember that climbing fibers arise or originate from inferior olive. Okay, and from the inferior olive they make multiple synapses onto Purkinje cells, resulting in high frequency bursts or complex spikes, and they play a role in cerebellar motor learning. Now the Mossy fibers, they originate from many centers in brainstem and spinal cord. Okay, I have made this spinal cord. They include vestibulocerebellar, spinocerebellar, and pontocerebellar afferents. So these all afferents. Okay, now they make multiple synapses on Purkinje fibers via interneuron. Synapses on Purkinje cells result in simple spikes. So yeah, these are the Mossy fibers going to the Purkinje fibers. These synapses on granule cells in glomeruli. These are the this is the glomeruli, and these are the granular cells. Now the axons of granule cells bifurcate and give rise to parallel cells. Now P for parallel and P for pink. So I have marked them pink. parallel fibers. These parallel fibers excite multiple Purkinje cells going to the dendrites of the Purkinje cells, and they are going to the stellate, they are going to the basket cells. So they are basically the parallel fibers, the synapse and dendrites of Purkinje cells, basket cells, stellate cells, and Golgi type 2. Here it is, dendrites of Golgi. You can remember it by D, dendrites of Golgi type 2. D2, dendrites of Golgi type 2. Okay, so it's really very complicated, but it may be learned if you make a story like this is a ground, granular, then plants, Purkinje, then mountains, molecules, and the glomeruli has the granular cells, which is giving rise to the parallel fibers with synapse on dendrites of Purkinje cells, basket cells, stellate cells, and dendrites of Golgi type 2 cells. So yeah, I hope you like this video.